Okay, so we're just in 1963. Let's go on to 1964. Start 1st of January 1964. So let's play it through. Right, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Robbie Royal, Buddy Holly, Beatles, Manfred Mann, Beatles, Searchers, Cliff Richard, Hollies, Rolling Stones, Dusty Springfield, um, the Beatles, Ray Charles, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Dean and Gene and the Searchers, Needles and Pins, Cliff Richard, Dave Clark Five, Beatles, Jerry, Gene Pitney, Tony Meehan, Kathy Kirby, Cliff Richard, Elvis with the Beatles, Cliff Richard, The Shadows, um, Tony D and the Shakeout, don't know that. Beatles, Dave Clark Five, Elvis Stiller, Tremolos, Beatles, Cliff Richard, Bobby V, Gene Pitney. Oh, I love Gene Pitney. The Kinks, Long Tall Sally, Billy J. Kramer, Gene Pitney, The Spring and Blue Jeans, Still Black, Beatles, the Beatles are back. The Beatles are back. Did they go away? Jimmy Young, Elvis, the Beatles Secrets, Dave Clark Five, The Escorts, Dizzy Miss Lizzy, Mark Winter, Dave Clark Five, McKieran's, The Measure Beats, Danny Mitchell, Dave Clark Five, Holly's. Hey, Adrian Foster, I remember, she looked gorgeous. Beatles Jean, oh, Blue Jeans, Dennyson's, The Kinks, You Still Want Me, Swinging Blue Jeans, Jerry, Brian, Jim Reeves, Peter Gordon, uh, Mike Berry, Eddie Cochran, Jerry and the Papers, Frank Highfield, The Stones, Orbison, Jerry, Billy J, Kramer, Hollies, Cliff Richard, Dave, The Applejacks, Night Owls, Cliff, The Stones, Dionne Warwick, Chuck Berry, Rick Nelson, The Pickwicks, Beatles, Jim Reeves, Chuck Berry's Shadows, The Foremost, The Hollies, Freddie and the Dreamers, Sam King, Roy Orbison, Stones, Beatles, Four Pennies, Freddie and the Dreamers, Stop Looking Listen, Wayne Fontana, Tony Brook, The Stones, Brenda Lee, Peter and Gordon, Epstein, Brian Epstein, The Beatles, Troy Dante, Roy Orbison, The Beatles, Danny Williams, Hines, yeah, the Beatles, Dave Clark Five, the Stones, Carl Perkins, uh, Chris Barber, Peter and Gordon, the Yardbirds. Well, yeah, the Beatles, Dave Clark Five, Dusty Springfield speaks out. Um, Simon Scott, um, Ken Dodd, Del Shannon, Georgie Fame, Cliff Richard, The Animals, The Brown Knights, Beatles, Elvis, Jim Reeves, The Searchers, Little Richard, Beatles, The Animals, PJ Proby, The Mersey Beats, The Applejacks, House of the Rising Sun, The Animals, 77. Dusty Springfield, I just don't know what to do with myself. I do. Elvis invites the Beatles, The Four Pennies, Manfred Mann, The Kinks, Honeycombs, Brian Poole and the Tremolos, The Honeycombs and Brenda Lee, Rocky and Perry's, Wayne Gibson, Kelly, Manfred Mann, Sailor, Dave Clark Five, The Stones, Animals, Bacharach, Swinging Blue Jeans. Billy Fury, Jim Reeves, Manfred Mann, BJ Proby, Baron Knights, Billy J, Ringo, Honeycombs, Lulu, Millie. I can't keep up. I can't keep up. Beatles, Herman Hermits, the Kinks. That fell this one. Elvis tells Beatles his visit is on. Beatles, Herman Hermits, the Kinks. Brenda Lee, Peter and Gordon, the Animals. Frank Highfield, Mark Sarn, Ringo. Honeycombs, Lulu, the Applejacks, Beat Merchants, Gene Vincent. Oh, that's a great one of the Beatles, isn't it? Orbis and Hermits, uh, the Hi-Fi's, Jerry and the Pacemakers, Gene Pitney, the Kinks, Shelley, Beatles, Supreme, Searchers, the Applejacks, the Thirds, Cliff Richard, Sandy Shaw, Roy, whoever, as a Manfred Mann, Martha de Vandellas, Major Land, a cellar full of noise, Brian Epstein, yeah, Supreme by Gene Pitney, Animals in America, that must be a rear page, the Honeycombs, yeah. Some who's that? Simon Scott, the Beatles, the Stones, Elvis Presley, Walking in the Rain, Jan Douglas, the Capitol Show, Cliff Richard, the Stones, the Searchers, Ken Dodd, Doris Troy, the Beatles, Supremes, Petula Clark, Walking in the Rain, Jan Douglas, the Hermits, Brenda Lee, Animals, Kinks, Berries, Teens, Shadows. Oh, just about every artist mentioned there. The Beatles, Fame, Pitney, Christmas Fun. Ken Dodd, Rick Nelson, Shadows, Brenda Lee, Shirley Bassey, PJ Proby, Ken Dodd, How Deep Is So Deep Is the Night. Uh, oh, Millie's Christmas. I Fall in Love with a Snowman. But Jerry and the Pacemakers, the Hollies, the Foremost, Tony Williams, Lennon's House, Buddy Holly,